Right. Hello, 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 everybody. My name is Sia Knight, and welcome to Lessons in Savvy Living. This is a podcast designed to help women connect. We want to learn, we want to support, we want to inspire. In this particular episode, we are filming during the COVID-19 crisis. And I said, listen, I want to have an opportunity to have a vehicle in which women can connect with each other. And there are a number of different topics that I wanted to touch upon. And my guest today is here to talk about a very interesting topic that many of you might be familiar with. So, the first thing I will ask, Kate Vogel, tell me three things that people should know about you.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I'm really happy to be here. And I think it's great that you're doing this and looking at some of the topics that you were kind of reaching out about. There, you've got so many interesting topics. So I'm looking forward to listening to the other episodes when they come out. But yeah, so my name is Kate. Um, Three things that you should know about me. I'm a mom and a stepmom. I've actually heard people say before they're a mom in love and a mom in blood. So I'm
Oh,
a mom in love to two stepchildren who are 12 and 9. And I'm a mom in blood to my son who's going to be 3 in June. So he was born just a couple weeks after my 40th birthday,
mm,
which we're going to be, it's part of why I'm here. We'll be talking about that in
yes.
a little bit. But I worked in corporate health and fitness in the corporate health and fitness industry for over 15 years. So that was basically the main chunk of my career was working there. I was a program manager at a couple of different corporate wellness sites. So we provided all types of health and wellness programming to the employees on sites as part of their benefits. They got these really great benefits, on-site fitness centers, all kinds of health and wellness programs that we did for them. So people that work there really made out because they got a lot of great stuff. But so I worked there for the majority of my career, and really just left when I was pregnant with my son. I decided that I was going to transition into being a stay-at-home mom. So I've been a stay-at-home mom since then, and
Wow.
also working on my business. And without that experience of becoming a mom later in life, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, which is working as a certified health coach and a certified pre and postnatal fitness coach.
Mm.
Um, and I primarily work with other women who are 40 and older, who are new or newish moms, um, helping them really find acceptance and happiness with their postpartum bodies, um, and really themselves in general, um, through healthy habits like movement and exercise and mindful nutrition and self-care, which self-care is a big one that kind of pulls all of that together. So yeah, so here we are.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And you have really
Yeah.
provided a great segue because today's topic is really it's women who give birth at age 40 and above. And since you
Yeah.
you work that type of with that population in your business and you have a personal experience, what is your story around becoming a mom at over 40? Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't my plan. I didn't set out for that in the original plan, but things rarely work out how you plan them to, right? Um, I didn't end up meeting my husband until later in life. I actually didn't meet him, I think, until I was 36. Of course, earlier in my life, I thought, 25 or 30, I was going to be married. I was going to, have 2 or 3 kids and everything would be great. And didn't work out that way.
Mhm.
Um, but so I ended up, meeting him later in life. He had a previous marriage. So he has got 2 kids from his previous marriage. And I kind of just thought like, I don't know if it's in the cards for me to become a mom. But I've got my husband, I've got these 2 great stepkids. So if, it doesn't happen for me, I've kind of already got this little family that's come together. So we kind of just took this like, um, if it happens, it happens kind of approach. And then it ended up happening when I was 39.
Mm.
So I got pregnant when I was 39. And Then came the, all the labels of
Mhm.
advanced maternal age and
Right.
geriatric pregnancy. And I was like, oh, God, it's making me feel so old. Um, and there's, such an abundance of caution and monitoring through pregnancy when you are really, I think they go 35
Mhm.
and older is when they, really start to put in all those extra precautions just to make sure, just because of risk factors that come along, as you get older. And and then you have the baby and it's almost like crickets, right? You get all of this care and support and guidance throughout your pregnancy, and then it's like you have the baby and they sort of just like send you on your way. And for me, I had an unplanned C-section, so obviously it wasn't planned, so I was not preparing for that, and it was a
Right.
lot more challenging. Recovery was a
Mhm.
lot more challenging than I was expecting. Obviously, I didn't have anything to compare it to, but I know I've talked to a lot of other moms who have actually had children younger and then also then had children in their 40s, and they say that the difference in recovery and, just what happens is
Mm.
vastly different from your 20s and 30s than
Yes.
it is in your 40s.
I can imagine.
Um,
Oh my goodness. I had 3
yeah,
years
yeah,
between my kids and I thought, "Oh my goodness." And I wasn't in my 40s, but yeah, absolutely, I can imagine someone in their 20s or
yeah,
30s versus my 40-year-old
yeah.
old self is a little bit different. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, not even thinking about pregnancy, but just in general, once, our bodies start to get a little bit older, um, you know, things start to happen
Mhm. Yes, Lord, they sure
and things
do.
get a little bit harder. So, throwing a pregnancy, yeah, right? Throwing a pregnancy, throwing a C-section, which is basically a major surgery that you're undergoing. And, it can be very challenging, physically and mentally to kind of get through that, which is kind of what I experienced a little bit too. Um, and so really what I experienced, and part of what led me to, working with women over 40, is that, like I kind of said, that, you get all of that support and the care and the guidance through the pregnancy,
Mhm.
and then you get to postpartum, and some people call it the fourth trimester,
Oh.
and you're sort of left to your own devices, right? To kind of figure out where you should go from there. I mean, we have that 6-week checkup appointment
Mhm.
where they basically say, you're good to go. See you later.
Right.
Um, and then it's sort of up to you as the woman to figure out, where do I go next? If I have specific goals, what kind of exercise is safe? What shouldn't I do? Did I have any problems that came up in my pregnancy that are going to affect, what kind of exercise I can do. And it can be confusing. There's a lot of information out there, um, and it can be confusing trying to figure out, what pertains to you. How was I affected? Do I have symptoms of, pelvic floor issues that
Mhm.
that I don't know about? All kinds of things that come up that we really, I feel, don't have. It's getting better now, but um, I just feel like that guidance and the support just isn't there as much as it should be. There's a gap there. Um,
Yeah,
so
that's really tough because if you think about life and you think about being in a cohort group and you think about those of us who went to high school and then you go to college and then in the early 20s you get people who are starting to have kids and you're starting to have to go to all these showers and then in the
yeah,
30s and the people are having their second kids and I have a friend, one of my best friends had a child when she was in her late 30s, and my kids were about almost 10 years old. So it's not that I didn't want to be there for her, but it was kind of like, I
right.
don't remember anything about, that diapers.
Exactly.
I don't know. So
Exactly.
I can
Exactly.
imagine.
That's what I was gonna say. You're kind of like, it's almost like you feel stuck in the middle, because same thing with me. All my friends, their kids were elementary school, middle school, and I'm, trying to complain to them about, being up 3 and 4 times in the middle of the night, and they're like, "Oh, I don't really remember that. That was 10 years ago. Oh, you'll get through it," kind of thing. But they don't, they can't really relate at that point.
Mhm.
And then on the other side of that, when you do find moms who have babies around your same age, they can be 10 plus years younger than you. and just kind of on a personal level, you can't really relate to them as well because they're not, in that same stage as you. So it's like, it's tough to be stuck in the middle of all of that. And I've actually had some moms, I run a free Facebook group, so I talk a lot with other moms who are over 40, and I've actually had some of them tell me that they've been mistaken for their child's grandmother
Oh,
when they've
Lord.
been out places.
Hmm.
I know, right?
That's a unique experience, I bet.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it can be different. That can give you a blow to your confidence, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it can be challenging.
So that is a tough thing to think about. Again, I think about these cohorts. We had people who I knew who had children almost as teenagers or very, very young. And now that we're in quarantine, I'm on social media a lot more now. And I see people like,
Yeah.
oh, my
Yeah.
grandbaby. I'm like, grandchild, wait a minute. You're my age. What do you mean grandchild? And it just depends on the way life kind of shakes out for you. And I can
Yeah.
imagine,
Yeah.
Kate, when you're talking with moms who are over 40, are you primarily talking about first time moms over 40? Or because I think that makes a difference as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually an interesting question because I actually have all different types of moms in my group, ones that had their first child when they were in their 20s,
Mhm.
and then, for whatever life circumstances, maybe they've um, you know had dynamics change in their families, and they're starting over with the second family. So they have 20-year-old children and
Mhm.
then a 2-year-old. um,
Yes.
I also have moms who have 5 and 6 children. The oldest can be 17 or 18, and the youngest is 3. And then I also have moms like myself who, for whatever reason, circumstances in life, didn't have their first child until they were in their 40s. So kind of runs the gamut. I have experiences with all of them. So,
Wow, that
and it's
and
really interesting.
yeah, it is. I can imagine. I also had a friend who thought that she thought she was seriously ill because she was like, "Oh no, I'm having these problems and I've got these gastrointestinal." And so we just knew this. I was just like praying for her. I knew she was a
Yeah.
goner. Oh my goodness, go to the doctor, and she's pregnant. And so surprise. But I mean,
Surprise.
what happened was she had infertility issues with her
Mhm.
older 2 children. Never thought that she would have another baby, and now she was having a baby at 40. So that is a
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
niche that I bet
Mhm.
people really lean on you for support and for help, women in
Yeah.
that group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a unique position to be in, to kind of feel like you don't have someone that really can understand what you're going through, because it is such a unique situation. And yes, a lot of aspects of pregnancy and postpartum are kind of general across the population, right? But there's just some things about it happening later in life, whether it's you you focused on your career for the first part of your life, or like me, it just sort of ended up happening that way. And I think another aspect that comes into it for women that are older is that they've had that much longer to kind of establish themselves and their identities, and kind of have this sense of independence, right? Even though
Mhm.
they may be, have a relationship, have a partner, but until you have kids, you don't realize just how independent you're able to be when you don't have children. So you've had that much longer to kind of get into this life and have this identity, whether your identity you identify through your job or other personal things, that and then all of a sudden you're becoming this mom, and it's like you have to make this major shift to, okay, who am I now? I knew myself as this person for so many years of my life, and now I'm this new person.
Wow.
And just kind of trying to figure out, how it's going to work and who you're going to be now,
That's
be challenging.
interesting. Yeah, that's something to think about because you're kind of set in your ways. You've had 40 years of being whoever you are and doing what
Yeah.
you want to do and not
Hmm.
being having to surrender to this little being. And everyone who's a mom knows that that's what you have to do. You cannot make
Exactly.
this child do what you want them to do as an infant. You're like,
No matter how hard you try.
yeah, so and it's interesting to think about that, but another flip side of that, I wonder, Kate, have you found that older moms are more patient with their children, or they can take time to appreciate their children more, or maybe they're just more tired? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, yeah, I think it depends on the circumstance, but I think in some ways, yes, the ability to have more patience is there just because you know, I think especially for those moms who may have more than one child, um, that they've kind of had that experience, especially if they have older children and then they're starting over. It's almost like they have a new appreciation for it,
Yes.
depending on what the circumstances are. So they kind of might be able to go into it. Myself, it was my first son, so or my first child, and so I still kind of had those thoughts of I don't know what I'm doing, kind of being a little maybe over the top and a little too overprotective. But for some of the other women I talked to who kind of already went through that with some of their older children, so this time around they're really just able to enjoy it,
Yes.
enjoy all the moments with them and just sort of let some of the other things kind of roll off their back because they've been through it and they know that, and for some people who, like you said, who maybe have had problems getting pregnant
Mhm.
and now it's happening for them, they're really able to just appreciate it and be thankful, for the fact that they were able to have a child, and just really be able to appreciate them, I think. So,
Mhm. Sounds great. Yeah, there's something to
yeah.
think about because there are different aspects of it. When we talk about
Mhm.
women who have children over 40, there are many different circumstances that,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah.
interesting that you can think about the full gamut of that. So,
Yeah.
what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned by becoming a mom
Hmm.
at 40?
Let's see, only one?
Yeah, well, you can share several. That's fine.
I have many. But I think one of the things that comes up a lot with the women that I work with, because, we talk a lot about health and fitness, obviously, that's what I help them with, and, um, I think we talk a lot about our bodies and feeling confident in our bodies, and maybe struggling with feeling confident in our bodies, um, and as much as we can talk about, okay, this is the exercise that you have to do. You have to do this, this, and this is what you have to eat so that you can look this way and feel this way, and you need to sleep, blah, 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 blah. But I think before you can even get to that point, which I think a lot of people focus on that, okay, this
Mhm,
is, I need to lose this 20 pounds of baby weight so I can feel like I look like myself again and feel good again. So I need to do this exercise and I need to, eat this and this and this. But before that, I think really comes the aspect of self-care, and I think this is relevant to any mom at any age and really any
right.
woman at any age, um, but in particular for moms, I think because we have a tendency to put our focus on everyone else, our kids, our families, our partners, and a lot of times we put ourselves on the back burner,
Mhm,
and we don't prioritize ourselves or think that it's important for us to prioritize ourselves. And I think that's kind of the first piece before we can think about, you know, what types of workouts we need to be doing and what diet I'm going to go on and all those kinds of things. I think it's really important to kind of get that mindset piece and really for yourself, learn the importance of making yourself a priority, because in the long run, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not putting yourself first and doing things that not only that you enjoy, but recharge your batteries and kind of emotionally fill you up, you're not going to be able to show up for your family and for your kids the way you want to, right?
Right,
So
absolutely.
so I think that's such a huge piece that often gets overlooked, because we feel this obligation to take care of everyone else first, make sure everyone else is fed first, make sure everyone else is happy, especially now. um we don't know what the circumstances are going to be maybe when this episode comes out, but at this point, we're all at home. We have
Yes.
everyone at home here. And I think as moms, we kind of feel this obligation to keep everything running. We're probably homeschooling kids. So we're, the teacher, we're the chef, we're the entertainment,
Mhm.
and we feel like
Referee.
we have to, exactly. Yeah, we have to do all of these things, and we end up at the bottom of that list of things to do, where we really should be one of those top priorities.
Sounds it sounds wonderful, and it sounds very
Yeah.
familiar. I've interviewed about a dozen women so far, and it sounds
Mhm.
very similar. The theme keeps weaving throughout. It's kind of
Yeah.
us taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because, like you said, you've been hearing that theme and we talk about it a lot, but a lot of women still aren't taking action on that, right? And
Mhm.
you know, you can't really, it's hard to change someone's mind. It's hard to try to convince them, right? Because it's really w- comes from within themselves. They kind of have to find that confidence within themselves so that they can see that it is important for them to take care of themselves. Um, so it's interesting because I think it is a more of a topic lately. I think self-care is becoming, kind of more of a hot topic lately. And a lot of times we think of it as, oh, it's taking bubble baths and
Mhm.
getting massage, and especially for new moms, they're like, yeah, right, why not, when
Right.
am I gonna have time to get a massage?
Exactly.
But it could be something as easy as, having a half an hour in your room where there aren't any children, you
Mm.
know? Um,
Oh, let's have a moment of silence for that. Hold on.
yeah, right?
Okay, go ahead.
I know right now you're like, where am I gonna go that I can
Mhm.
be away from them for a couple minutes? But yeah, it could be something as simple as that. And I think it's just such an important thing for moms to realize, that it's so needed for them.
Right, absolutely. So, wow, Kate, you've really shared some great information and advice for the moms that are listening and the
Mhm.
moms that you work with. Now, give me an
Yeah.
example of kind of who might contact you and work with you. Um, just, I guess, if you're a mom who had a baby over 40, but maybe it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the moms that come to me, honestly, one of the main motivators is that they're not feeling happy and content in their bodies and with their bodies. So, they have this postpartum body, and it doesn't look like it did 10 years ago. Um, they fall into this comparison trap of looking at other women who maybe have lost all their baby weight, and they're thinking, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't the weight coming off? And they just really feel this sense um, of unhappiness, really, not only with how their body looks, but how they feel in their body. They're
Mhm.
not feeling confident in their body. They're not feeling motivated really to, start exercising or start eating better, because either they feel that they don't have the time,
Hmm.
or they're not making the time. They don't know what they should do. They don't know the first steps to take. They don't know, where they should even start with exercise. Um, so they come to work with me to kind of figure all of that out. And we work on all of those aspects. So it's not just a workout program. It's not just talking about eating more vegetables and changing up your eating habits, but it's kind of the overall physical, emotional, and mental health aspects. And like I said, a lot of that is the mindset and self care and making that a priority. And then you can get to the point where you're motivated to add in those other healthy habits like movement on a daily basis and mindful eating, mindful nutrition, um, and taking care of yourself. So
So one
that's
step at a
typically
time.
one step. And I talk about that all the time in my group is, it's as frustrating as it can be, it's baby steps and
Mhm.
it's not going to happen overnight. But that's really one of the keys to sustaining your lifestyle changes is doing it baby steps, one step at a time, and really allowing those steps to become part of your lifestyle. And then that way it's going to be much easier to sustain that in the long run.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Well, where can people find you, Kate, if they're looking for you
Yeah.
online?
Yes, a couple different places. So Facebook and Instagram, I'm on both of those at Health Coaching by Kate. Those are pretty easy. I also have a free Facebook group, and that's called Postpartum Wellness for New Moms Over 40. So you can find me there as well. And then, of course, my website is Health Coaching by Kate. So pretty easy to remember. They all basically have that same name on there. So, yeah, you can find me at any of those places.
Good. Solid branding, Kate. Wonderful.
Yes.
So, so what I'll do is I'll make sure that the links are available in the show notes. And
Perfect.
if someone comes looking for you, they'll be able to find you easily. So
Yes, that would
great.
be great.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. You've given me a lots of information that I wish I'd had when I first had my kids. Um,
Yeah, right?
but I'm glad that you're out there providing that service to women because
Yes, yeah.
all we have are ourselves and each other, really. Because
Exactly,
and we've
exactly.
come to realize that in this time as we're taping this, we're in the middle of the COVID crisis. So
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
we are
yeah,
now helping each other in ways that we had never done before. So I think that's a very important thing
exactly.
to kind of
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, and if there's a positive thing that we can kind of take out of the situation that we're in, I think is that we are seeing more connections this way and having social media and being able to connect with people this way where 20 years ago a mom who or a woman who had a baby at 40 probably would never be able to find another mom who had a baby
Hmm.
at 40 because there wasn't any internet, there were no Facebook groups,
Right.
there was no Instagram. So I think that's a great thing about the time that we have now, and one of the positives that we can take away from this whole crazy situation that we're in right now is that we are able to connect and find other people like us who we can connect with and support each other. So
Awesome. Wonderful.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you so much for being my guest for this
Thank you.
episode, everybody. That's it for this episode of Lessons in Savvy Living. Until next time, stay savvy. Bye.